Lesson 27 Life, Death, Universal Emptiness, Eternity of Life, Interdependence Principle, Engi, Kwon-ganjo in Buddhism. Life is both phenomenon of interdependence, a temporary aggregate, a cosmic phenomenon. What make it the sister of death? Life and death. Life, a phenomenon that comes from interdependence. Everything changes, nothing is constant, such is the law of birth and death. This verse from the Hannya Sutras, Wisdom Sutras, in Japanese, for which Sessen Doji threw himself into food for the demon, translates fairly well the fairly close relationship that exists between life and the phenomenon known as conditioned co-production or interdependence. This verse in 5 Chinese characters is a decryption of non-substantially by nature Hu, in Japanese, of all things which things manifest themselves in a tangible way and perpetually reproduce themselves under the aegis of a principle called interdependence or conditioned, Engi, in Japanese. That is to say that all the phenomena of the universe depend on each other. They interact. Let us listen to Ikeda Kanpon teaching us about this principle. Despite its permanence, life is magnificently harmonious. Molecules and the atoms combine into ever more complex compounds until they become the genes that determine the personality of human beings. A single human being is said to have some 5 billion genes containing the information necessary for individual existence. Thanks to these, our bodies become more complex with marvelous precision. We possess and experience happiness, anger, and so many other emotions. A certain configuration and interaction of billions of particles determines how we live and how we react to our environment. The Earth is a superorganism, and the cosmos, with its ceaseless interesting rhythmic movement, is the supreme organism which gives life to all that it contains thanks to its harmonious infinite. Life, a temporary aggregate, the macroscopic play of elements intervening perpetually for the purpose of constituting a variety, forms are observed at the microscopic level. Dual. Buddhism teaches us that the phenomena constitutes our life are produced by the interaction of the 5 components or aggregates. By aggregates, one means the elementary functions temporarily to form an individual life entity and allow it to function. The form, the physical aspect, the body and all its organic functions. It refers to the physical aspect of life and includes the 5 organs: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and body. The 4 following components are found in mental formations: perception. It is a function of receiving information from outside, as well as from within, through the 6 of the sense: sight, hearing, smell, taste, touch and spirit, which integrate the impressions of the 5 senses. Conception. It is a function that creates mental representation or ideas from what has been perceived. Volition. It is the will that acts on the design and motivates the action. Consciousness. It is the function opening the recognition, the identification and the discernment of the phenomena. In conclusion, the 5 aggregates constitute the body and the spirit of human beings, and the functioning indifferent according to the social of life. These aggregates can be sometimes elements which open an attitude of wisdom and benevolence. It is the union of these 5 elements which form life. These aggregates disintegrate when death comes. The functioning or vital activity of the individual entity the ends. It is the entry into the phase of latency. Thereafter, thus entity of life will again constitute a combination of the 5 components, thus opening a new form of existence. This explains that there are 4 phases by which everything, phenomenon, including all living beings, pass: appearance, development, decrease, disparition. These 4 elements are constituted by the universal suffering, dukkha, in Sanskrit, which are birth, illness, old age and death. It should be noted that the revelation by the Buddha, in his first sermon in Benares, of this truth constitutes the founding act of Buddhism philosophy. The Daishonin does not believe so well when saying in the Gosho, caution against attachment to a fief down, life is a fleeing as a dream, no one knows if he will still be alive tomorrow. They are, also, one of the 3 domains of existence, the other 2 being the domain of beings and the domain of environment. Life is a cosmic phenomenon. Corollary: life and death are Siamese twins in Buddhism. Death is seen as an integral part of the 4 dukkha, suffering, in Sanskrit, inherent in life. Buddhism teaches that the universe is like a vast entity living being. The geometric locus of the cycles of rebirth and death of people and living beings is the continuity of the cycles of life is eternal. When we examine nature of life with a perfect enlightenment marks birth and therefore no end marks death. Buddhism teaches us that transcending birth and death, the essence of life and death are the two sides of the same coin. They alternate continually. This Buddhist truism is expressed by Chapter 16. There is no ebb, no more existence in this existence and subsequently entry into existence. Universal emptiness sunyata. In Sanskrit the concept of sunyata, in Sanskrit, or ku, in Japanese has been variously translated as latency, non-substantially, emptiness or universal emptiness. Nagarjuna, one of the 24 successors of the Buddha who lived between 150 and 250 CE was the precursor of this theory. This is why he is called the father of universal emptiness. The Nagarjunian concept describes the nature of all things as neither existence nor non-existential. Principi of interdependence, Engi quantum physics, a science in tune with the concept of emptiness. Quantum physics comes, no doubt, to aid of Buddhism to open a better understanding of the image of sunyata, in the West. The concept of sunyata, a misunderstood concept in the West. Quantum physics comes, no doubt, to aid of Buddhism to open a better understanding of sunyata, in the West, dominated by dualist logic. For centuries has led to the inference that Buddhism is a mystical philosophy for which the world is only a vast illusion. Quantum physics to the aid of Buddhism. Quantum mechanics, in its attempt to explain the essence of matter, has come to give a description close to that of Nagarjuna's emptiness as presented. An explanation of the tangible nature of life. Chapter 2, Haben, opportune means, the foundation of the unity of the physical and the spiritual. Chapter 2, Haben, opportune means, which universalizes the attainment of bodhidharma, also established the principle of the non-duality of the body and spirit. In other words, the unity of the physical and the spiritual. Buddhism considers that all things, whether material or spiritual on the one hand, on the other hand visible or non-visible, are manifestations of the same universal law, Nam-myoho Renge-kyo. This principle is expressed in Japanese by two words, shikishin. Funny refers to all spiritual and invisible phenomena. Examples, reason, emotion, will. Funny literally refers to two but not two. Let us listen to Nichiren Daishonin edifies us. A person's previous emotional state is revealed by their physical appearance. If a person is joyful, it will be seen by the features of his face and his bearing. Chapter 2, reinforced by the theory of being in communion with universe. In Buddhism, the living being is considered as the harmonious union of the 5 aggregates or components. The 5 aggregates or components are form, perception, conception, volition, consciousness. Life is the force of energy that allows these 5 components function together as a harmonious and integrated whole. Engi literally means appearing in relation. This being that is and vice versa. This principle, known as the principle of interdependence, is an existential principle. The Buddha teaches it by using the metaphor of the 2 reed stems leaning against each other. The thus come one tells that it is because one leans on the other that both can stand upright. Another will fall. The same goes for all things. The Daishonin adds, we are all human beings who by a mystical bond were born to share the same slice of life on this planet, a tiny element in the vast universe. Why do we quarrel and bully each other? If you can keep in mind the vast old picture, I am sure we will go a long way in resolving conflicts and different. When our eyes are fixed on eternity, we come to understand that the conflicts involving our little egos are really sad and insignificant. The time of Ganjo is the infinitely distant past. In Buddhism, we speak of a time outside time. Ganjo is neither past nor future, it deciphers the reality of life. The life with which the Buddha is in communion. Let us listen to President Ikeda gives us a vision of it. When we observe our existence, we discover that in the past prior to Gohyaku Jintengo, that is to say in Ganjo, we lived totally free, in a shining world of purity and joy. We were once in such a sparkling world, have now emerged into the world together, Saha. Looking back, I feel that part and a pure and pleasant world dates only from yesterday. How could we forget friends with whom we spent such a joyful How could we forget the vows we made together at the assembly where the Lotus Sutra was expounded?